W7ATS. Yeah, I retracted my stance on that little dongle because I thought it was going to be able to do transmit or receive on 1.2, but after reviewing the documentation, looks like it's capped at about 950 megahertz. But I think it'll do just fine for 1.2. I'm sorry, 70 centimeter transmit, which is kind of what I wanted to use it for. But I wanted to try to have an all-in-one device, a transmitter and receiver. But until if we decide to ever go with a 70 centimeter or maybe even a 905 megahertz something transmitter, we're kind of limited to some of the higher-end equipment for the receive. But I'm curious what application you got the DVB-T reception, what program you're using to get that to decode, because I have a Hack RF1, and I would love to use that for something and not have to use this really expensive high disk here, because eventually I'd like to get a recommendation for everybody that maybe doesn't want to spend a lot of money. And I think if we get these SDRs to work well with the receive and transmit, it's going to save a lot of money for everybody. And just trying to find good amplifiers and preamplifiers to pair with the transmitter was another thing I'm trying to figure out. But I'll turn it back to you. This is W7ATS.
K7ITX.
I was just doing locally between receiver and transmitter on the same frequency. I was using SDR Angel. Unfortunately, SDR Angel doesn't have the DVB-T, so I was just playing with DVB-S. I was reading and watching a couple of YouTube videos that, and I have some practice of playing with GNU radio in the past, that I could set up the proper sequence to receive DVB-T on GNU radio with one of these SDRs, and I was trying.
W7ITL, K7ITX.
Scripts that could set up this from scratch, and we'll see. But from my local, just
W7ITL, K7ITX.
I got it working with DVB-S2 using SDR Angel, but I wasn't.
For a reason, I just hear you pop in and then pop out. Do you want to try again and maybe make your audio transmission a little bit longer?
I'm sorry, wasn't paying attention to the timer. I hope you got it, that the app that I was using is the SDR Angel, but I was just using DVB-S2.
See that DVB-S2 and S. Yeah, that's why I've read that you can do it fairly easy with applications to decode S and S2. There's not a lot out there for T, which is kind of concerning that there's no real love for that standard. I know there's some clubs in California that use the S standard DBS, but yeah, I'm not sure if we're ever going to try that out. But yeah, if we get the high des, I think high des is the best for T. But I'm going to let you go. It was nice chatting with you. I don't know if you're going to join us on the net, but certainly nice to hear you. Again, this is W7ITL. Back to you.
Absolutely. I think I'll be around, maybe not at the beginning, but I think I'll join at some point. Really appreciate the help, Wade, and talk to you later. W7ITL 87NP.
ITX timeout. K7ITX. WW7N testing.
WW7N, loud and clear. K9PQ.
Thank you, Bob. Really appreciate the signal report tonight. I think I've figured out what a couple of things here and should have a good signal on the audio side. Thank you.
Good evening. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society Net on the 08 machine. I'm Dave, KD7CYM. The Western Washington Amateur Television Society is a group of amateur radio enthusiasts who take to the airways with fast scan television. We have a repeater located up on Cougar Mountain. We transmit on 70 centimeters. It's a crossband repeater and spits out images at 1.2 gigahertz. To find out more about the Western Washington Amateur Television Society, please Google WW7ATS. That's Google WW7ATS. That will take you to our homepage on the internet. There you'll find some information about our organization and also the exact frequencies we transmit and receive on. Also on our homepage you'll find a link that will take you to YouTube, where we stream our nets held Wednesdays and Saturdays between 8 and 9 o'clock. Also, we'd like to thank the SeaTac Repeater Association for letting us use WW7STR's repeater 147.08 with a specific tone of 103.5 for this net. Again, a tone of 103.5 for this net. So with that, this is Dave, KD7ZYM. I'll pause in case anybody has emergency traffic or needs to make a contact with somebody on the 08 machine before our net gets fully underway. Hearing none, again, welcome to the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net. Already checked in by video link is Ron, KD7QKU, Bob, K9PQ, Richard, K7ITX, and welcome back home, Richard, and Wade, W7ATL, Jim, N7QO, James, WU7N, and myself, Dave, KD7ZYM. Is there anybody else that wishes to check into the net? Hearing none, again, this is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net. Let's start off the net with Ron in Tacoma.
Okay, thank you very much, Dave. I want to say hello to Richard. It's really nice to see you, Richard. Really, really nice. Well, you guys, I just about had one of the worst days of my life today. Awful. So what happened this morning was we were down in Long Beach, and my wife Joanne and her sister were going to go for a walk. It must have been 9:30 or 10 o'clock. And I left the door open. I thought my brother-in-law was going to come down. In a minute, I heard some lady screaming, "Mr. Baker, Mr. Baker." So I walked out, and she said, your wife, come with me right now, come. So I went, and they had made it to the intersection, and there was a whole bunch of people around, and one lady was like working on my wife, and so I went over there, and she was like unconscious, and her eyes were rolled up, and she was like throwing up. It was coming out of her nose. She was like having convulsions, and I could hear the sirens coming. They had called 911, and so they arrived and loaded her up and taken her to the little hospital on the way to Oahu, nice little hospital. So I had to go lock up the motel room and jump in the car and head down there, and I got there, and I think everybody in there was working on her. They had her in the room, and there was a doctor there. He came over and said, listen, he said, I'm just a doctor, I'm not a cardiologist, and we don't have a cardiologist available right now. He said, we've called the helicopter, we're going to fly her to Portland. And I said, I'd rather have her go to Tacoma. And he said, Mr. Baker, she might not make it. It's 20 minutes to Portland. And her best chances, if you want your wife to live, is to send her to Portland. And so then the helicopter's already landed, and the people are there in their orange suits, and they're ready to take her. And they're holding the paperwork out for me to sign. So I signed the paperwork, and they load her in and take her to Emmanuel Hospital in Portland. Richard, you probably know about that hospital. So then I called my sons, and let me let it drop. I'll come home, and I'll come to your house, and I'll drive you to Portland. Okay, so I had to go in the motel and start loading everything up, and my phone rang again, and he said, I got a different plan. He said, it's going to take you 3.5 hours or 4 hours to get home, right? And I said, yeah, probably. He said, I can get to Portland in 3.5 hours, so I'm going straight to Portland to the hospital. And you go get the cat, go home, and try to relax, and I'll let you know as soon as I get there what's going on. So we got there, and so they had her wired up, and I guess her heart was beating 4 times on one side and 1 time on the other side or something. And he said they were gonna do all these things to her, and so then he called me back a couple hours later and said, okay, they said her heart's not going to stop now, and they want to take all of her. She had hit her head real hard, and they done a CAT scan. They want to take all the tubes and stuff out of her, try to get her awake and see if everything's okay with her head. He called me 2 or 3 times, and then probably about, I don't know what time it is now, about 8 o'clock, I guess. He probably about 7 or quarter after 7. He said, okay, they got all the tubes out, or they got her away. And I said, okay, well, as soon as you can talk to her, let me know. And he said, well, I'm talking to her right now, and I'm going to give her my phone, and she's going to talk to you. So we gave her a phone, and she said hi, and so we talked. And it sounded pretty good, really. And so then Mike, taking the phone, said, okay, the doctor said her head's fine. There's no, blood clots or anything in her head. And he thinks she's going to fully recover. They're going to have to put in a pacemaker, and she's going to be here a couple more days, and he doesn't know when they're going to get the pacemaker in her. They got something hooked up to her now that's making her heart beat right or something. I don't know. So anyway, I said to her, do you want me to come? And she said, no, I want you to stay home and take care of the cat. We got, old cat. So Mike said he would stay there until she's ready to go home. Mike said, I think the doctor thinks she's going to make a full recovery, and she'll probably, after they get the pacemaker and stuff in her, she'll probably be able just to come home. She won't have to go to a rehabilitation center or something. So I guess, he said, we'll know more tomorrow. So I guess I'll have to wait till tomorrow to find out. But, so it was a stressful trip home, and it was a pretty stressful afternoon and day. So I'm wore out mentally and physically. So back to net, KD7QKU.
WW7ATS, thanks for that. Our thoughts and prayers are for a speedy recovery for your wife. Let's go on down to Bob, G9PQ.
Well, good evening, everybody. Ron, that's just awful. Man, what you've gone through and what your wife, of course, has gone through, and I'm just glad. It's like everything's going to be fine, and that's outstanding news. But man, oh man, what a scare, and just traumatic to go through all of that. Thank you for sharing that with us, and yeah, she'll be in my prayers tonight, and we'll, think good thoughts. And well, let's see. For my own news, and Richard, also great to see you back home again. That is really fantastic. And you're looking good. Well, I thought I might be doing digital tonight, but I sort of got cold feet. I didn't want to try and set everything up in the dark, so I'm going to, over the next couple of days, there's a park locally nearby where I've been able to get in with analog before, and I'm going to try digital during the day. Maybe coordinate with Wade or with James or somebody and figure all that out, and then try and get everything hooked up and working so that it'll just be ready to go Saturday night. And just a reminder, this Saturday is our monthly meeting, and it's going to be kind of an important one because we're going to be discussing the digital side of the repeater and what we're doing and plans and what's already happening. So I guess that's it for now. I'll send it back, K9PQ.
K9PQ, thanks for that. And speaking of Richard, K7ITX in Arizona, we wish you well and glad to see you back on the net this evening and home out of the facilities that you were in. So Richard, the mic is yours, K7ITX.
Yeah, home would be my Phoenix condo for the time being. I got a month or two here. And Ron, oh my God, as you're telling the story, me and Debbie were just on pins and needles. Oh, we love Joanne so much. Praise God. And I guess the pacemaker, considering what Joanne just went through, is not a huge surprise because I've heard of this before. And and they just get it in there, and it only works when they need it to work, that kind of thing. So, oh God. But you and your poor little brain, you try to handle all this at the same time, everything about it. Oh my God. I can't even imagine. Well, I can imagine, only from the standpoint that I was real sick, and then I can appreciate it. I can appreciate everything Debbie has done for me, like you're doing for Joanne. So with that, I'll send it back to net control. K7ITX, back to net control.
K7ITX, thanks for that. And get an ID again. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net. On the 08 machine, I'm Dave, KD7CYM. I'll pause in case anybody else wishes to join the net at this point. Hearing none, again, this is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net. I'm Dave, KD7CYM. Let's go to Wade, W7ITL in Tacoma.
Well, hello everybody. It's nice to see a new face that joined the net today. I think we saw Dan for a few seconds. I think he wants to get on once he gets some equipment. And then there was another gentleman, I didn't catch his name, but we were talking for a little bit at the beginning before the net started. His call sign ended in 7 NP. I didn't get the first part of your call sign because it sounded like you had 2 numbers in it. I just wanted to make sure I get that right. I think I got N87NP, which didn't sound right, so maybe you'll come back later and let us know your call sign. I'm really bad with call signs until I get to know you, but I'll get it down. But let's see. Not a lot of new stuff other than now we got a stable signal out of the repeater on digital. It's 1.2 with DBBS. I'm sorry, DBB-T, and we're doing 2 megahertz right now. We may go up to a higher bandwidth just so that we're more compatible eventually. That's my plan, to at least try that out. I have tested it a few times, and it seems to be pretty stable for all the different bandwidths that that the receiver or the transmitter can support. So other than that, just got back from a hike up a big hill with my son, trying to get him conditioned for his big hike that he's going to be doing this coming summer in New Mexico. I forget the name of the mountain, but it's a pretty big hike. I think it's over 100 miles total. Yeah, thanks, Bob. Maybe it was 87 NP. Sorry about that, Carlos. I'll get your name eventually and your call sign. I apologize. But yeah, I said I'm beat. I'm not in shape. We walked about a mile and a half, 2 miles, but it was almost all uphill. And I had walking sticks. My son was about a block and a half ahead of me while I was walking up the hill. This just tells you how bad I am out of shape. When we got home, I checked his forehead, no sweat. I was dying. It looked like I had walked, or I ran our marathon, but nope, just me a mile and a half. So that's about it for this round. I'll turn it back to net. This is W7ITL.
N7KC.
And the net acknowledges Lee. N7KC is checked in from Port Angeles. Let's go to Jim, N7QO.
N7QO. Thank you, Dave. Good evening, everyone. Well, Ron, wow, that is one terrifying story. Yeah, I'm sure all of us will be praying that she gets better quickly. It does sound like, I don't recall who said it, but yeah, a pacemaker might be just what she needs. Glad that her head is okay. Kind of strange. I had a friend who had something similar happen to him. He was a pilot, and they installed, the way he explained it to me was a combination pacemaker and defibrillator, and he was never able to get his medical certificate back, and he was trying to explain that they thought it was unlikely that it would ever be needed, but it was there, and in case his body needed it. But so he was trying to explain that, well, a normal person, if something happens to them, that's while they're in the airplane, but with him, he's going to get this zap or whatever, and so he just kind of continues flying. But they never did give him his medical certificate back, so I don't know. Anyway, let's see, he wound up dying of spinal meningitis, believe it or not. But it wasn't a heart problem, so that device they implanted in him did the trick. So we'll pray that Joanne has a similar outcome, Ron. And glad that Mike was able to go there. Bob, going to try remote digital. That's great. We'll look forward to hearing your reports on that, and maybe, well, I guess I won't be seeing you, but some of the guys will be seeing you on the television net here. Dick, glad to hear that you are back in your condo. You sound great, and everyone seems to be seeing you, so you've got to be looking better, you've got to be feeling better. Glad that you could join us again. We certainly missed you. Wade, yeah, that's what happens when we get older. Life gets in the way. You just don't have time to exercise regularly and do all this stuff that somehow you were able to do when you were younger. Heck, frequently it's a challenge just to play ham radio. And I think it was our last net, our previous net, I heard AD7NP, Alpha Delta 7 November Papa, but then someone corrected that and said it was Alpha Delta 7 Mike Papa, so I'm not 100% sure myself, but thanks for helping out there. Hopefully we'll have some back to you, Dave, and 7QO.
KC disconnected.
7QO, thanks for that, and it's time for another ID. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society Net. I'm Dave, KD7CYM. Let's go to James, WU7N in Bellevue.
Thank you. Carlos, welcome to the net. If you can mute on Discord, if you're able to listen to the 2-meter circuit, that will help. It sounds like one hell of a day, so sorry you and Joanne had to go through that. I don't know what to say. I got a haircut today. I mean, you just don't know what to say to that. I'm glad that she's going to be okay. And Jim, I think I need one of those pacemaker defibrillators for my brain. That's, when you can't remember something, you need to have a little something that helps you remember that thing that you just can't remember, but you knew you could remember it. And Bob, I hope you'll get your digital equipment up and get the loop on that going and see if that works. Look forward to hearing the first report on that. And one thing I'd say about the meeting this Saturday, I think it will be kind of an important meeting. I've got a conflict, and it would really help if we really start on time. I know we all forget and such, and I'm as guilty as that as anybody, and we text everybody, and everybody gets together, and by the time we get going, it's 10:30. It would be nice if we'd really start promptly at 10. That would help a lot. Here, the rains of October are about ready to close in on us. I have one little deck railing project that I was hoping to get stained and sealed up, but I'm in kind of a conundrum if anybody has any comments on this. You're supposed to only, of course, seal the wood if it's dry for the last few days. Tomorrow's, I think, the last chance. It's got a 100% chance of rain is in the forecast for Friday. So if anybody has any experience on that, because I think if I don't get it done tomorrow, it's probably going to have to just be out in the weather for the winter, and then I'll sand it and stain it in the springtime. But if anybody has any comments or thoughts on that, I'm all ears on that. I'm going to call Sherman-Williams Technical Support in the morning and see what they have to say about that. I'll show everybody a device. I may have shown it before, but man, it really has helped me. I've got all kinds of electronic parts around here, and I'm really getting them under control and sorted out. I'll have to show it to everybody next round. For now, this is James, WW7N in Northeast Bellevue. Let me turn it back to our net control Dave. Go ahead, Dave.
7N, this is Dave, KD7CYM in Lake City. Oh my gosh, what a day, and all the misery that Ron has gone through. Thank God his better half is surviving okay in the hospital, and it looks like a full recovery, so that'll be great. Good news on that, even though it was sort of had a bad beginning to it. And it looks like the ending is going to be very positive and be home in a couple of days. Oh my gosh. And today for me, I paid my last half property taxes off today. Oh my gosh, it was fun writing that check, got that out of the way. So now my property taxes are paid up. Then I went out and got some teriyaki. I was just hungry as man. I hadn't had teriyaki in a long time, and I got this little teriyaki place in the neighborhood I went and visited, and got their spicy teriyaki, and oh my gosh, that was good. Got back home, and I was going to watch some of the newscasts, and I sat down, and I went to sleep for a half hour. Woke up, there was a different program on the news, so at least I was able to recap what was going on in the world in news. So that's pretty much what I've done today. 87CYM. Now we want to then go to Carlos, AD7NP. Welcome to ATV, Carlos.
Connected N7KC. Connected K7ITX.
Good evening, everyone. Hi there. Indeed, Alpha Delta 7 November Papa 87 NP. Operator here is Carlos.
ITX disconnected.
So in probably not very far from some of you. And
K7ITX.
Some of the equipment so that I could be on the air. I can see on my SDR. Just a minute. I can see on my SDR that I'm receiving the signal on 1.2. I'll just share with you all a picture of my screen so that you can eventually see that also. Unfortunately, I don't have the receiver for the signal, but it's there. And it's above the noise. I just need to work a little bit on the preamps and kind of setting the antenna. But it's I've been listening to you guys for a couple of years now, I must say. But I haven't had a chance to join, and I think I'm ready at this new location to get the right level of equipment, and I'm glad you guys are all moving to digital, so that's my trigger point. Again, thank you to everyone. I'm glad that the wife of our colleague is doing well. It was quite a suspense there listening to the story, but I'm super happy that it turned out for the best. I'll be here and happy to share more as we go about it. Back to the net, 87 NP.
Break. NPQ, I got very little of Carlos's message. I'm wondering if he was maybe on the Tiger repeater. Carlos, normally this repeater uses 107.8, I believe, but we use 103.5 for our PL tone, primarily so that we can get people connected through with Echolink. For me, it happens to be the only one I hear well, so if all the rest of you heard Carlos, I did not, and that might be what's going on. Back to you, Dave, K9P.
K9PQ, thanks for that again for Carlos. You need a tone of 103.5, a tone of 103.5. So anyway, welcome to the club, Carlos, and we'll be looking forward to chatting with you. Let's go to Ron, KD7QKU in Tacoma.
Do we have Lee, N7KC? Lee, are you with us?
If I'm getting on the right tone now? Okay, great, thank you.
N7KC in Port Angeles. The server, I guess it's called a server icon or something for Watts, is now missing on my Discord, and it must be by invitation. I don't know. I tried everything. I can't get it back. And last time I used Discord, it was fine, and when I brought it up this time, it's not there. And I didn't hear Carlos either. He's not on the Echolink repeater. And Ron, I came in late, so I am putting things together. What I think might have happened is,
You know, good antenna. And you have to be polarized right, of course. So anyway, Bob's waving.
You missed
my best.
That's your
Until I get home soon. But anyway, if anybody's got any ideas about how to get that server, that little circle, you know, up there that shows up on the upper left-hand side. Anyway, I don't know where it went. I didn't take it off. Anyway, Dave, back to you. This is N7KC in Port Angeles.
KC, thanks for that. Let's go back to Ron, KD7QKU.
Sorry if I was walking on top of you. Ron, KD7QKU here. So anyway, we have a new member. I don't know if you can see him or not, Carlos. And I was just talking a little bit about what he'd need. And Lee, by the way, I don't know if you heard, but we were in Long Beach. And today, this morning, Joanne, I don't know, had some kind of an episode, her heart or something. Anyway, she collapsed, and we taken her to the little hospital, and they airlifted her to Portland, and she's in the Portland hospital, Emmanuel or something like that. And our son Mike drove down there, and he's with her. So, and it looks like she's going to be okay. So, thanks to the airlift people, and thanks to the little hospital in Long Beach. So anyway, I don't have much more. I'm just going to turn it back to Nat, and if we can do anything to help you, Carlos, let us know. We belong to the Tacoma Ham Club, and they have some hardline and stuff too, I think, that's available. So maybe we can help you. KD7QKU.
QKU, thanks for that. Let's go to Bob, K9PQ, after a quick ID. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society. Yes, the OA machine today, KD7CYM. So now let's go to Bob, K9PQ.
Okay, well, first thing to say is I noticed when I switched to myself, Carlos, I do the video switching here, and I mistakenly had your picture up big while Ron was talking, so sorry about that. It happens occasionally. James, I do have a recommendation for you, but obviously I would suggest you, check with the experts, but I believe a lot of times people seal only the top of the wood and the deck, and then that allows it to breathe out through the bottom and not collect water. So that might be a solution for you with your deck, is seal only the top unsealed. And yeah, starting the meeting promptly. I'll definitely work on that, and we'll put the we have going on right at the start of the meeting. We can move things around a little bit. What else do I have? Oh, Wade, yeah, walking. Man, that's me too. That is me too. The last few times I've gone camping, I went for a little hike, and I was like, okay, I need to do something here. I am not in the shape I used to be. That's kind of all I have. Oh, I do have one thing to say about the pacemaker. My brother-in-law, he has a very unusual heart condition. He's in excellent health. His heart is in excellent health, but he has this congenital thing that his brother died suddenly, who was also in excellent health, and his heart just stopped. And so he got one of those defibrillators put in. He's got it, permanently in him, and I don't know how he recharges the battery. Maybe it's one of those things like, I'll have to see through the skin or something. I don't know. But at any rate, that is not a pacemaker. It doesn't do anything unless his heart stops, and then it gives him a jolt. And so he hasn't needed it, but it's there just in case. And after losing his brother, you can imagine he wanted to have that surgery. Okay, that's all I think I have right now, except welcome, Carlos. It's glad to have you. I'm glad to have you with us. It's good to see you there. And
K7ITX disconnected.
Pete, just one or two important things. Your QTH especially. I'm curious whereabouts you live. All right, I'll send it back. K9PQ.
K7ITX.
Thanks for that, Bob. Let's go to Richard, K7ITX.
Well, sorry guys if you hear me drop out once in a while and drop back in. I don't know. I just can't. The audio just disappears. But anyway, well, first of all, welcome, Carlos.